Welcome down the rabbit hole, friend. Housekeeping. First, I want to say thank you to all of my commenters. You guys are so smart and right on the ball. When in my last video, I was talking about a room for Truly. And I commented, well, I made a lot of comments about how easy it would be to create a space for her in that big house. And many of you left comments stating that I forgot to mention Dayton has allegedly moved out of the house and he's living in an RV, I guess in the driveway. So that means there's even more room for Truly, right? Thank you for reminding me. I completely forgot about that in the video, and it's so true. Dayton is growing up. He's on with his life at college. I'm so excited for that boy. I feel like I've watched him grow up, and I'm proud of him, you know? So all of you were just on the money with that. It's like there's even more room than I was presuming in the big mansion for Truly. I mean, why can't you make space for Truly? Make it make sense, right? Nothing makes sense with this family. I mean, I have some thoughts about it, and it's something I might share in a later video, but there's only one situation in which any of what's going on with Robyn makes sense to me. That'll be in another video. Okay, guys, so I cannot deny I am really excited to make this video. And one of the many reasons why is because my own amazing, incredible little guy, my son, Jack, is on the autism spectrum. And he has completely changed my life for the better and helped me understand more about what it can mean to be on the spectrum. Look. I know this can be a very sensitive topic, so I'm letting you know now I'm going to talk about my son, and I'm also going to present what Robyn has to say about her son, Dayton. I understand that it's difficult to make these decisions about whether or not you speak out or make public when someone has like a personal diagnosis. I understand all of that and I respect everyone's opinion, but go ahead and just like click off the video if you're not interested in it, because I am interested. I think that it could mean so much to many families who are in situations where they have children with any kind of need or difference. It could mean a lot to see people out in public presenting what's going on for real within their families and sharing with us like how they deal with it, what steps they take to help and support everyone in the family. It could mean so much. And it also makes us all feel less alone, right? Not just like that you can relate to me because maybe you have a child with autism. Like if you have any situation in your life that is imperfect, like it feels good to watch and hear from someone who's honest and like, my life isn't perfect either. I'm dealing with this and that. This is how I deal with it. You're not alone. We all have issues. So I really hope some of my subscribers can take away a lot of really good things from this video. Okay, so super recently, my interest peaked when I saw Gwen Brown in one of her lives talking about how she is diagnosed with autism. Now, she doesn't give much background. We don't know how she got the diagnosis, if it's self-diagnosed. I don't know. But I would love for her to speak more about it. Because once again, it's such a great learning tool to put all of this out in the open, to have it presented on TLC or on YouTube or in a podcast. You know, it can really help other people. So I hope that somewhere down the line, Gwen will talk more about that. And it's great because she's an adult, so she can make those choices for herself. And I love to hear from people who have the diagnosis and they're older, and they can let me know. They can let me know so much about how my own son might be feeling about what's going on with him. My son, Jack, I don't even know how to describe to you how amazing he is, except that in many ways he has become the heart of our community, right? Like we live in this apartment complex. And we came here not knowing anyone, and Jack was the first one to go downstairs, get in the pool, introduce himself to everyone, make a million friends. And now that I work full time, I'm rarely here during the day. But every night people will say, oh, I saw Jack today. He was swimming. He was doing this. Oh, he was saying hi to my son. Oh, he did this. He did that. He is such like a special person with a magnetic personality that draws people towards him. I am so lucky and so blessed to have given birth to this individual who's so amazing and so much better than I myself, like I perceive myself to be. I'm not as friendly or outgoing or sweet, you know. He just has an amazing personality.
4 minutes.
What?
4 minutes.
More minutes?
Yes.
Who's the best?
Jack.
Jack's the best. You're the best.
And Mommy are the best.
Aww.
And when he was growing up, when he was first born, we lived in India and then Mexico. We've been in the US like in between at times, and now we're here in Malaysia. So when he was growing up, he didn't demonstrate what are the classic signs of autism. And as he got older and I started taking him to see doctors, there was a lot of confusion. There were issues that were being brought up, but they were saying to me like, but I don't think he's on the spectrum. So there was a lot of back and forth. I had some people saying that it's possible he does need all of this intervention, and other people being like, no, he doesn't have any of these issues. This was really confusing for me as a parent who only wants to do like the very best for my child. So for Jack, when people meet him, some people would think, you know, he's a totally typical 5-year-old, but other people will pick up on like he acts, he does behaviors that would be like maybe significantly younger than his age. And his language is still lagging behind other kids his age, but he's very outgoing and he has lots of friends and he's super successful in school, and he knows so much about reading and math and planets and Legos. And, you know, he doesn't have like one specific category that he's completely focused on, like a lot of people with autism do. So just to say, like, he doesn't match up in line with the very classic symptoms of someone being on the spectrum. And for me, it was confusing as a mom, especially as a nurse, a pediatric nurse who's worked exclusively on an autism ward. I worked on a very like famous special autism ward where we take some of the most extreme cases, children with autism who are, you know, nonverbal, they're self-injuring. They require a lot of medical attention. They may need feeding. We were doing a lot of feeding there. We were using like NG tubes, G tubes, TPN to feed kids who were not able to chew and swallow their own food. So these are really extreme cases where children are diagnosed with autism and they may have a lot of other medical needs as well. So you can really see that, you know, as they say, the spectrum is so wide. There are so many different places that you can fall along that spectrum. So when I first started noticing these issues with Jack, you know, there was a lot of confusion for me, right? Because he's so amazing in so many ways. And I had to learn, like, that can be a part of the spectrum. You know, that is a part of the spectrum. And the intervention that we've been able to get since he got the diagnosis has helped him so much. So I know that it was worth it to go forward and get the diagnosis for him and to be able to support him as best as we can. And I believe that as he goes forward in school, he's still in kind of like a preschool setting. He turned 5, but he's still in a preschool type setting, Montessori, and he's extremely successful and having a wonderful time there. But next year he'll be going to kindergarten in an American type school. So we're going to have to see, how things go with that. And having the diagnosis really helps us when it comes to requesting for support if he needs that once he gets there. So if you're dealing with any of this as well, I would love you to leave comments below and let me know what your story and what your journey has been like. I watch a lot of families on YouTube who share their journey with their kids with ADHD, autism, depression, and I find it all so helpful to be able to relate to someone and see what they're doing that's helping their child. Alabama, what else?
Massachusetts.
Where's Florida?
Florida's over here. Alabama comes next. Something over here comes next. This comes.
Okay, friends, so many times in the past, questions have been asked on my videos, in the comments below about Dayton. You guys have been asking me, is he really diagnosed with autism, or is Robyn just saying that? Do we really know what's going on with Dayton? And I think most recently I mentioned to you that there was a source with the last name Allred who contacted me and spoke to me just a little bit about Dayton's father, David Jessup. And one thing that we did talk about was, a little bit about what's going on with Dayton. And the source was just asking, I don't really know. I don't know if he really has that diagnosis. He seems very typical. And this is interesting, right? Because again, I have so many people in my family who would say your son is totally typical. So you never know, right? You don't know what goes on behind closed doors. If you're not around a child all the time, you don't know for sure what's going on. We also know that there are a lot of people out there who will say that their child has a certain diagnosis, but maybe they really haven't been given that diagnosis by professionals. And I'm not judging them, but there's been a lot of questions about what's going on with Robyn. And I've wondered myself, and I've really been I wish they would speak out a little bit if they felt comfortable enough about what's going on in the family with autism issues. Because again, it could be so helpful to everyone. And then you guys, I am so excited that just yesterday I was going through all of this information I had gathered about some clips having to do with the Sisterwives show. And I was looking up some stuff about my Sisterwives closet because I've been making kind of joke videos about running MLMs or having my own rabbit's closet. So I was looking at my Sisterwives closet stuff, and it turns out that Robyn wrote an entire blog post about her interaction with the school system and psychiatrists having to do with Dayton. And there was so much good information in it about what's going on with Dayton, about her journey with her son, about how wonderful Dayton is. And I was so excited to see it and read it. It really made me relate so much to Robyn in a way that I've never related to her before. It's changed a lot of my thought process and opinion about some of the things that are going on with her. And I want to share all of that with you here. So as I went further down the rabbit hole, I found out that there were some TikTokers who have been commenting on that. And I'm going to share all of those videos here with you now. I hope you take something really positive away from this. That's the whole point of this, is to say, for all of us out there who have a child that's a little bit different, we can look at a man like Dayton and be this could be my child someday. He's going to college. He seems happy. His brother, Peyton, talks about him this is a great guy, a great person. And it's so wonderful to hear all of that. And it helps us relate more to the family, helps us relate more to Robyn, maybe understand more about what was going on inside of the home. I hope you walk away with this with a lot of good feelings about Dayton and his journey and Robyn's journey as a mom in certain ways. So here we go.
Out when he was about 3rd grade, there was always some different things about him, but I just kind of loved him however he was. I just saw him as that was his personality.
I don't think he has Asperger's. He's just quirky. quirky.
I've been through all the tests. I know what he's got. I've read enough books.
So I've been digging around to see what I could find on this, and surprisingly, on my Sisterwives Closet website, Robyn had written what is almost like a blog post under one of the pieces of jewelry that she was selling. And I guess the inspiration for the jewelry piece was Dayton and his Asperger's diagnosis. This was written in 2018, shortly after Dayton turned 18 years old, I believe. When Dayton was born, it truly was one of the best days of my life. I never knew true love until I saw him for the first time. He was a happy, easy baby for me, and I enjoyed motherhood immensely. As a new mother, I didn't have preconceived notions about how a child was supposed to act or what milestones he was supposed to hit when. He was just my sweet little buddy, and I determined to let him be himself. And he didn't walk or really talk until he was over a year old, or he struggled to potty train or stopped sucking his binky by 4 years old. I still continued to just focus on his strengths and help him through his struggles the best I could. When Dayton was little, he struggled with balance, coordination, and knowing how to use his body. When he was excited, he would flap his arms and jump around the room. He would sit for hours setting up cars around the edge of a table or lining up his dinosaurs according to size. If anyone messed any of it up, he would fall apart. He wouldn't eat certain foods due to the texture. This included any vegetables. He would throw up if he had the wrong texture in his mouth. He struggled with loud noises and lights. Dayton didn't give good eye contact in a conversation and struggled to know what was appropriate and okay as far as making friends with other kids. He could talk to adults, though, usually about whatever subject he was obsessing about at the time. There was the elephant phase, the dinosaur phase. Yeah, I became a temporary paleontologist. The alphabet and 3-letter word phase, the Pokemon phase, the car phase, and several others. He knew more about his favorite subjects or current interests than about everyday life. He could talk your ear off about his current phase for hours if you let him. During the dark and scary Pokemon years, I felt like his main language was Pokemon and I struggled to speak it. We would go into a store and he would find one of his fellow tribesmen wandering down the toy aisle, and they would have a discussion that I did not follow or understand. Yeah, that was a tough phase. I still shudder at the memory. I remember trying to teach him how to ride his bike and then gave up. Somehow he got the impression that in order to go to kindergarten, he would need to know how to ride his bike. So he went outside and taught himself how in an afternoon. At this point, I knew my buddy had something going on with him, but I just didn't know what. I remember when he was in kindergarten, the school was recommending that he be taken out of class to get some special help because his testing was so bad. His teacher was confused by this. She said she had never had a student come in that knew all the alphabet so well, could spell so many words, or had so much knowledge about dinosaurs. Little did I know that this would be the dichotomy that is Dayton his whole life. When Dayton was in 2nd grade, the school counselor and psychologist brought me in and told me that he wanted to do some tests on Dayton. I said yes, and we started the long process. This was when I was told that Dayton has Asperger syndrome. I was told it is a high-functioning form of autism. Dayton had a lot of the behaviors. It made sense to me because although he was amazing, he also struggled with some things quite a bit. He was artistic, intelligent, had an amazing memory and a sweet disposition, but he also really struggled in school, didn't understand how to make friends or how to deal with stress, and didn't have mind-body connection. The more I learned and researched, the more I started to understand what challenges were ahead for him and what I had to do as his mom to support him and advocate for him. It was my job as his mother to help the world open their eyes to the amazing person before them, help fight for him to get the support he needed, and help eliminate stress for him as much as I could. You see, when someone with autism or Asperger's syndrome is stressed out, the behaviors that make them stand out are more prevalent. It has been a long journey, but I have been determined to make sure he has every opportunity to be successful and happy. I have been accused of being a helicopter parent, but unless you have been in my shoes, you don't get it. Dayton just turned 18, and I celebrate the trials and triumphs. I have always spoken openly with Dayton about his Asperger's syndrome, So he was armed with knowledge about how his brain works. He challenges himself and his behaviors on a regular basis. He chooses interests that make him push beyond his boundaries. For example, his AS challenges his mind-body connection, so he has chosen to focus on bodybuilding. For a few years, he was on the wrestling team at school for the same reason. He's constantly teaching himself how to talk to people and what is appropriate to say. Big Family has helped a lot in this department. We are loud and in your face. As Cody says, we are aggressively friendly. This has taught him how to interact with a lot of different personalities and people.
All right. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you will leave comments below. If you're a parent out there who's searching for answers for your own child, just know that you're not alone. And there's so many things going on behind closed doors, many struggles that people like me have or people like Robyn have that aren't going to be presented to you on a daily basis. So if you're struggling, you're not alone. I would love to see TLC Sisterwives focus on this topic. If someone like Dayton or Gwen felt comfortable like coming on the show and talking about it a little bit, I would love to hear from them. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you'll join me next time down another rabbit hole.